As a lot of you know, I've been a little bit more quiet in the crypto market this year. There just hasn't been that much opportunity in the market, but I did make some of my biggest buys of the past few months over the last 48 hours. And in today's video, I'm going to explain why. I'm going to break down my Robinhood thesis. I'm going to talk about the best coins that I'm currently looking about, and I'm just going to explain the entire narrative to you. It's one of the more interesting narratives that I've seen this year. And as you guys know, I'm only dropping market updates now when I see either a real narrative, a real play, a real trade. So you know that every single time you click on a Miles Deutscher video, you are getting the real alpha. You are getting real actionable setups. I'm not doing what I used to do, like pumping out daily market updates, clickbaiting, all that stuff. Like, I've really just stripped it back now on the channel. It's like pure alpha. Thank you guys so much for all of your amazing comments on my last video, which was how to actually build a trading bot. I walked you guys through exactly how to build a trading bot from scratch. It's had amazing feedback. We're going to be doing a lot more of this on the channel because I truly believe the way to win at crypto now, the way to win at trading in general, is to augment your trading with AI. It just helps you so much when it comes to scanning opportunities and execution. I'm also going to pick a few people just to win $100 if you are watching this video. We message the emails with proof that you're subscribed and that you commented and you own this account with the giveaway email down below. Next gen, you can win 100. Test user, if you're watching this, you can win 100. Armin, you can win 100. Hassoni, you can win 100. And let's scroll down. Risha, you can win 100. Comment Noti gang on this video for a chance to win $100. We're always doing giveaways here on the channel. But let's get into Robinhood now. So what is Robinhood? Well, you guys know it's a massive, massive, massive retail app. Obviously, their stock is absolutely massive. This is actually one that I called in my private community, the Miles High Club, as you can see here at $69. And that's been a great trade, a trade that I'm still in because I was betting on the retail growth of the platform that went up 78%. It's currently now up 66%. Pretty nice for a call on a stock. So obviously in Miles High Club, you can find all of that early alpha. So that's been a great play. But now what's actually happened since Robinhood as a stock has started to revive, what we have seen is the blockchain is actually now launched. So they are pivoting more into crypto. They understand that this is the new frontier, right? Everyone's gambling, everyone's degenning, and they want a piece of the action. They've seen Pump Fund, they've seen Solana, and clearly it's a big business, just like Coinbase and Base did. They want a slice of that business. However, Robinhood is like the everyone app. Although Coinbase is a bit more for the crypto cohort, I feel like Robinhood is for everyone. I feel like almost not every normie, but a lot of normies have Robinhood and they trade stocks there. So the fact that they now have a chain, which you could potentially in the future have a bridge directly from the main Robinhood exchange, I think that's a really compelling and interesting narrative that I'm going to break down today. And no, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. I don't think you should ape absolutely everything. However, there are a few plays, which I'll break down today, that I've started positioning in, that have clear invalidation, and I want to talk through that thesis. So if you want some stats on Robinhood, they currently have around 28 million active users. So this is pretty much bigger than it is bigger than any crypto exchange. Growth has been really strong. Growth has been really consistent across the board. And people are speculating that they could, in the future, introduce full app integration. For example, you could trade on chain on their app, or you could bridge off the application directly to the chain, which still isn't that integrated. And that's one of the big pain points at the moment. It's hard for people to bridge onto Robinhood. Once they make that easier, then it could potentially open up an entirely new cohort of investors and traders or speculators to the crypto market that weren't previously there. Now, a lot of the positioning that you may make on the chain, if you do choose to position, will hinge on this thesis. You need to believe in the thesis that in the future, this could open up an entirely new pool of users if you are going to bet on any Robinhood plays. Otherwise, it's simply just, the same money in crypto circulating around. I'll get into exactly where I sit with that opinion on that spectrum slightly later in the video. Bonk Guy points out that beyond all the obvious stuff that we just discussed regarding how big Robinhood is, there are also a lot of vested interests to see this chain do well. He said, this is the hottest Uniswap has been in ages because of the chain. I actually want to get into the Uni chart soon. There is a setup I'll show you at the end there. And Hayden, the Uniswap founder, is literally bull posting the ecosystem. Arbitrum is seeing its first real signs of life in ages because of it. If you guys don't know, they're basically paying 10% because they're using Arbitrum's tech to the Arbitrum Foundation. So Arb is a beneficiary alongside Ethereum and Uniswap, which we're going to chart later. One guy says there are simply too many powerful forces that want this to succeed. And if you do look at the volume, it's been one of the more explosive things that we have seen this year. I mean, the volume's crazy. You have about $1 billion in DEX volume. You have $3.5 million in 24-hour transactions. Uniswap's been going ridiculous. I mean, it's been like 500 million million a day for the last 3 days. The numbers are crazy. And if you look across the ecosystem, we've seen some huge runners. Cashcat did 100x. It went to a 200 million market cap. Some of these other runners as well have gone from, just a few thousand in market cap to multi-millions. I do think there's a lot of vaporware in this list. However, I think there are a few with staying power. In today's video, I'll tell you the ones that I think have staying power, and then I'll tell you, the rubbish that I think you should essentially discard. This is quite an interesting stat. Robinhood as a company's worth 100 million. Robinhood chain is now sitting at 1% of that in the first 10 days, while arguably crypto isn't hot right now. This is going to get crazier than you think, and don't forget, it's Arbitrum under the hood. So what do I think about the thesis? I think it's compelling. I think it's genuinely one of the more interesting theses this year. I think it's hotter right now than Solana. I mean, obviously Sol still does more volume because it's a bigger chain, but in terms of having a fresh narrative, and I think it does have potential for a lot of the Robinhood users to potentially, if there are future integrations coming on chain. The issue is, however, it is hard to position. And obviously I'm just being completely honest as usual with my positioning. It is hard to position because I think it's very difficult to anticipate between now and between when the chain potentially gets more integration, more traction, and potentially has a bigger run, what coins will still be around by then, and what coins turn out to be vaporware or rugs. Because the chain is so new, you can barely bridge. Like if you want to buy stuff right now, you've got to use GMGN, FOMO, or you've got a bridge using one of the bridges from Ethereum to Robinhood, but you have to actually add the RPC manually on MetaMask. It's very inefficient, and it is preventing a lot of capital from coming on the chain. So on one hand, that's bad because it prevents access, and you need access for tokens to really pump. But on the other hand, there's potentially an opportunity because no one can bridge, and we know that Robinhood is incentivized to make this eventually as easy as possible for people. We also know that a lot of builders are extremely incentivized to launch products on Robinhood because it's a chance at something new, it's a chance at something fresh, and it's a chance of tapping into more users than these other blockchains which have already been really saturated. So I think Robinhood is here to stay. However, in terms of investing your money right now, you still need to be cautious because you kind of need to find the middle ground between maybe getting some exposure, like what I've chosen to do, to hedge against upside in the shorter term, whilst keeping my eye on the chain. And this video, above all else, is really directed at just making you aware that you need to be keeping your eye on the hot thing in crypto. That crypto is a narrative game. So you've got to be just keeping your eye on this over time, and obviously subscribe to the channel because I'll be giving you updates and any new positions. I posted my watch list already on Mars High Club before this. Any new positions that I add, make sure to join Mars High Club down below if you want a bit more access and early access and join my private community. If not, keep an eye on the free content because I'll keep you updated over time. But this is something that we're just going to have to keep our eye on. But as it sits today, these are the plays that I'm interested in, and I'll talk through each one. You've got to look for coins. I'm not endorsing cookware. I'm just speaking about the thesis here. Coins that have interesting lore, good memetics, RWA themed, not called something hood, like some rip-off meme with hood at the end, will be the ones that survive and thrive in the long term. So the plays I'm interested in now are only the things that I think have staying power. If, for example, Robinhood went through a lull for a few weeks, no one can access it, and then let's say in a month, a lot of people got access and there were more features and it has another run, potentially something macro could trigger a run in the crypto market, I think these things have the best chance of coming back. Although I think a lot of stuff doesn't. But just before we get into the list, remember, extremely risky. Any of this can go to zero. This is even riskier than like majors or Bitcoin or whatever. So this video obviously is risky, but I just want to give the alpha to you guys. So when I see a narrative, I'm still going to come on here even if it's risky. All right, firstly, Cashcat. This is the biggest meme in the ecosystem. I do believe as well you have Shiv Verma. I believe he's the chief financial officer at Robinhood Markets. He's actually got Cashcat in his bio. So obviously you have real people at Robinhood incentivized to see the main meme do well. And it's kind of similar to, Solana with the top memes back in the last meme season. Like people in the community would get around it because it was good for the volume and the hype on the chain overall. And these guys are incentivized to push the biggest stuff and support the biggest stuff because they want to see the chain succeed. They make more revenue as well. And obviously Robinhood is a company that would like to make revenue. I mean, just look at their stock. It benefits everyone. If stock price goes up, we can get into the exact mechanics around how much money the chain could make for the stock, probably for a future video. It's not direct. It really depends on how they choose to do their incentives with the chain, how they choose, to operate. Do they launch a token in the future, etc. But today we'll focus on the plays. But Cashcat's the biggest one. It's probably the safest one. Remember, safe is still extremely high on the risk scale when it comes to any of these plays, but it's the biggest one. It probably has the most staying power because it was the first meme. Obviously, it's run up a lot, but I think there is like a pretty definite line in the sand here. at 134 to 156 million. You can see I've drawn it in here on my chart. It is starting to break out of the pattern a little bit, but typically with these reversal trades, I don't just like drawing diagonal lines. I want to see price make a higher high. And to make a higher high, technically you need to breach 167 million. So even if it comes here, it could be a lower high and then make a lower low, in which case I'd look to see if there was a deviation play potentially giving me an entry at the 140 million zone. So this is a zone I'm looking at. I haven't added much cash cat yet, but if I was just looking to set and forget, this is probably one of the plays that I would potentially look at. If it starts invalidating below, maybe you need to cut in the short term to protect against downside momentum and then reassess when the market heats up again. If you have the thesis that Robinhood could come back again. Once again, this is a narrative we need to keep watching. The next one on my watch list is Arrow. This is essentially one of the top DeFi protocols. So you can basically trade, earn, borrow, essentially a money market. If you look at the chart here, very similar to CashCat, it's actually coming down and testing support now. Once again, if we do start to lose this, I become worried about momentum. But for me, it was a level that I chose to bid this morning because, it is coming into major support. So that's a bid that I'm willing to take. Maybe I'll cut if it starts breaking below. I'm not putting a lot of size into this, guys. I'm just dipping my toes in the water, making a few buys across the board just to get some exposure once again, to hedge against potential upside in the short term. If this really takes off for some reason next week, shit like this, 3-5x's, I want some exposure. But in, the event that it goes down, I'm not completely wrecking myself and I still have capital to potentially trade in this ecosystem in the future. So that is how I'm viewing it right now. You've got Vex, which is the top AI protocol. I actually took an entry last night just as it was starting to dip into this region. It has shot up a bit now, but it's come down. Look, at the end of the day, it's still well below its highs if you were interested in an entry, for an initial entry. But this is the top AI play that I believe was launched on Virtuals in the Robinhood ecosystem. So being one of the leaders in the AI sector, given AI is such a hot narrative, that's why I find this one interesting. This is also one I got some exposure to because, I just think you don't just want the meme exposure. You typically want the top DeFi play. You want the top AI play. And that's really the only thing we can do right now in terms of spreading out amongst what's currently available. Because once again, my thesis is that more builders come here, that more legit stuff launches here, that more serious players come into the market. But right now, if you want exposure, I think these are some of the top plays to look at. Then moving down the risk curve a little bit into the second biggest meme after CashCat, you have Juggernaut. I'm not as big of a fan of this, but I think Bonk Guy was shilling it and some others were shilling it. So, it's definitely got a bit of momentum. On this one, it's in no man's land. I'd love to buy at this level of support here. So personally, I'm going to treat this a bit more technically and look for a break of highs and then look to play price discovery if it reaches price discovery, because typically the biggest parabolic moves happen after price discovery anyway. So that's when I become more interested in a Juggernaut. You've also got Hood Rat, which is one of the biggest memes. I mean, if you go and look at the rankings across the ecosystem as a whole, it's actually rank 3 after CashCat. So if you just wanted to do the spray and pray approach, you could potentially look at this. It is coming into diagonal support. However, if we lose this, and I haven't entered yet, I would potentially look at a sweep of this support level here to get an entry around 7 to 8 million. So some of these are cooling down a bit. You definitely have a series of lower highs as well, something to keep in mind in terms of probabilities of price movement. So to summarize the list, and this is the list I posted in Mars High Club beforehand, so make sure you join there for all of the early calls. In fact, if you actually go into Mars High Club, go into Risky Plays, I called Arrow extremely early. If you look at when I called Arrow at 8.5 mil, pretty much the next day it had run up to 35 mil. So that was a multiple X play for people in the Discord. That was a great one. Coming back down to support now, I also updated you on that. So if you want to join the Discord for the early stuff, make sure you join. Mars High Club, by the way, is only getting better. So if it's been a while since you've been in, we have some massive stuff coming. We're adding so much stuff, and I'll give you a hint. It's around the AI trading stuff. So clearly that's where I'm spending a lot more of my time. If you've been following some of my AI content, that is where we're going to provide so much more value in the Mars High Club. So not only will you get that stuff, but of course you also get all of the normal stuff, the calls, the analysis from me and my team of 5 analysts as well. High time frame traders, low time frame traders, stock traders we've added now. So, before it was only just crypto. Now we cover stocks as well. I've been very selective about building up a really great team there. So if you haven't been in there in a while, I think you'll love it. And there's much more value coming to the group very shortly. Beyond these plays, so this is the list. You can pause here. Mars High Club members have access. Beyond this list though, which is my short list for now, what I just discussed. The only ones I've really entered in so far. CashCat, I'm starting DCAs, but I haven't got much of an entry yet. Arrow, I've already gotten an entry at support here. got to watch if it breaks down. Vex, I've already got an entry, and these aren't full ideal final entries. These are just the beginning of DCAs, right? And I need to monitor things. Juggernaut, as I said, waiting for a breakout. Hoodrat, I haven't entered. There's one in Mars High Club, which is too risky to share today, which I just shared in the group if you want like my really, really risky low cap play, but I didn't want to share it today because I think it's too risky. But the degens in there, the smaller community can get access to that one. But beyond the Robinhood stuff, I think what's really interesting as well is what it could potentially do if the narrative does take off for the broader crypto market as well. Because obviously, Ethereum is the token that's being burnt on Robinhood. Robinhood doesn't have their own token. Obviously, they're a stock. So because the chain uses ETH as its native gas token, it's actually helping ETH burn as well. And you can actually see Ethereum has had a benefit in terms of DEX volume, primarily coming from Uniswap, because of a lot of the pools coming. So I don't think this is like, if you're trying to get exposure to Robinhood, still better to go with the main Robinhood plays than betting on ETH. Of course, it's a little bit indirect, but I still think it's worth mentioning as a potential narrative for ETH. Just as it's worth mentioning, if we want to look at the Arbitrum chart right now, as a potential narrative for Arbitrum, which no doubt is experiencing some positivity off the back of this. And this actually broke out. Like if you want to look at the basic breakout structure, this actually had quite a clean breakout. If you go onto the daily, we can see where the next resistance is. If you want to draw resistance on the daily, it's coming in from this zone here, which it seems like we're just rejecting off now. So potentially we could get a flip, and then your next resistance zone is all the way up here. So this is something to watch, although it isn't a resistance now. You also have RSI starting to creep up. So momentum is definitely a bit overextended. Of course, it can remain overextended, but just keep an eye on that. It's not something I'd be top blasting, especially with this wick here. Looks quite nasty. Maybe we reset here, and then you can move down to the H4 for a potential entry, and then we make another run again. So there's a trade there. The other one that's very interesting is Uniswap. Once again, no exact trade right now, but if there was a potential move and a flip, an SR flip of $4, this could potentially be a good zone to enter if Uniswap got momentum again. So they're probably the three that you want to watch off the back of the narrative. In general, if it takes off longer term, I don't think that is going to happen overnight. So that is my Robinhood thesis. Those are my top plays. I think Robinhood overall is a compelling thesis. It's one worth watching, but I want to reiterate, this isn't something that I'd just be aping into today. This is still very much a game of waiting, seeing, watching momentum, maybe making a few bets. That's what I've personally done, not financial advice, into certain things that I like in the event that it does pick up momentum in the shorter term. If not, we'll keep watching it and I'll keep updating you over time. But let me know what you think of the Robinhood thesis down below. I think it's interesting. I think it's one of the more interesting things that's happened in crypto in a long time. So I wanted to come on here and make this video, and make sure to subscribe for all of the amazing content we're putting on the channel. I really, really liked my last video. Go and check it out if you haven't already. I teach you how to build a trading bot. The best part about trading bots is like we're going to be able to plug it into discretionary theses. For example, if I have an opinion on, I don't know, any of these coins, like a Uniswap or ETH or whatever, and I have a definite trading opinion, what we can actually do is we can plug that into an AI system for you to get better execution and entries. So I had some comments on the video like, oh, you can never fully automate trading. It's like, well, maybe not yet, but we're getting damn close. I know some people that have. But anyway, even if you don't believe that and you think it's coming in a year, it's still an amazing tool to help you scan the market faster, send you alerts. Like you could be scanning the entire Robinhood market, and you could be getting alerts on your phone when something hits a certain market cap and hits your criteria. And you could be asleep and you could have an AI bot that basically scrapes price every 30 seconds. And if price falls into a particular zone with a particular RSI or a particular indicator that you've set, it automatically triggers a trade. Like that is what I'm talking about with AI trading. I think it's so much more than just like algo trading, like setting up an algorithm. It's basically a tool for you to make yourself a better investor and trader. And I would be nuts if I weren't to exploit every single advantage in the market, if I weren't to exploit every single percent, 1% chance, 1% chance, 1% chance to get better and better and better. But right now, AI represents a 50% chance to get better. It's just so damn worth your time. And that's why I'm bringing it to the channel. And that's why I think you're going to love the content we've got coming on this channel and in Mars High Club. So link down below to Mars High Club if you want to check it out. If not, make sure to keep checking on the channel because we'll be dropping more alpha in the near future. Hopefully you enjoyed today. Have a lovely rest of your day as usual. Cheers, guys. Peace.